folks. Welcome back to Reality Check with Arvind Swaminathan. You know me well enough by now. Today's topic is a very, very serious one. So please listen carefully to all of it, because the beginning, the middle section, and the ending all are really important. If you can't see it all at one go, stop it and come back to it later. But please see all of it. Recent incursions by the Chinese into Indian territory. This time Tawang, which is around Sikkim, that sort of area. Now, why do they do this? Why do the Chinese do this? What are they doing? What do they get by doing this? Well, one of the things is they're probing to see where is there a weakness, so they can charge in and take over a lot more territory and change the line of actual control, or the LAC. But it goes a little deeper than that, because the Congress party of late has come up with so many very stupid acts. I can't say anything else about it, and yet they're so sinister. Because look, recently in Parliament something came out that the Chinese embassy between 2005 and 2007 donated 1.35 or 1.5 crores of rupees to the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation, which is run by Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra. Why? For what reason? And this is followed in 2008 by an MOU between the Congress Party of India and the Communist Party of China, just before the Beijing Olympics. Under what circumstances was this MOU signed? What was in it? What were the terms of that particular agreement? Nobody here knows. Why? Because this is tantamount to dealing with the enemy. And that in any country in the world smacks of high treason. Anywhere else they'd be behind bars. That would be a very light sentence for them. Now let's get back to the other basic details. The strange thing is that these incursions always occur when the Congress Party doesn't seem to have any other agenda. Is it just to bring them into prominence so that they can make a lot of noise and let us know that they're still around? However, let's get back a little further and try and understand what the Chinese aim. What are their aims and ambitions? The Chinese have been an enigma for a long time. In many ways, they still are. If you look at the map of China, you find that China itself is a very small area. More than 2/3 of what they claim as China is actually occupied territory, or usurped or annexed territory. To China, for instance, they've added Manchuria, they've added Inner Mongolia. From a position of strength, they've taken land from Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan. In 1949, they overran Tibet, which had virtually no army, no armed forces at all. Now, Tibet is almost as large a land area as the rest of what they claim to be China. Now, their policy has always been expansionist and hegemony over other countries, or in the whole region. As far as they're concerned, the whole of Asia must be Chinese. And this is what they're going for. What do they expect? What do they hope to gain by taking over Arunachal Pradesh? With it, they hope to take over Meghalaya, Tripura, Manipur, Mizoram, and Nagaland as well. Which means now they have enveloped Myanmar or Burma from the north and from the west. So Burma will be next, or Myanmar will be their next target, followed by Thailand and possibly Malaysia. You see, they seem to, and then from there on, they'll go for Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. They're already into those islands in the South China Sea. Spratly Islands, for instance. They're claimed by both Vietnam and China. Now they're trying to take over islands or encroach into islands which the Philippines claim. Who are next? Indonesia? Maybe Japanese islands? I mean, there's no stopping them because the world has kept very quiet since 1949. Now, it beggars belief, and yet they claim we don't aim for hegemony and we're not expansionist. If this isn't expansionism, what is it? Now, the Chinese are very logical in some ways, but at times they're so illogical that it beggars belief. For instance, they claim Aksai Chin as being a part of China, and yet it was Zhou Enlai himself who said it is disputed territory. Now, if it is disputed territory, until both sides agree, how can it be Chinese territory? What are they doing there? They have no business being there. In the same way, Ladakh and Leh. Now then, when it comes to the eastern sector, they claim that Arunachal, what is Arunachal Pradesh, Indian territory, they claim it as being southern Tibet. And therefore, as they sit in Tibet, it should be a part of China. However, where do they get this claim from? There's an old British map somewhere that says southern Tibet includes Arunachal Pradesh. Based on that, they claim this to be part of China. However, and here's their illogical approach, and by making this statement, they have painted themselves into a very sticky corner. There's no way they can get out of this except by force of arms. And that is, they refute any British map because you see, the British also laid down the McMahon line as the border between Tibet and India. But the Chinese say, no, the British enforced this on us when we were weak, so we do not accept this. Now, if they don't accept the McMahon line, or the British, how shall I put it, force on them, then obviously they cannot accept the British map, which means Arunachal is still a part of India. Because it's only in a British map that is called Southern Tibet. Now, if you accept British maps, then you have to accept the McMahon line as well. Again, because of the McMahon line, Arunachal is a part of India, not Tibet or any other country. So, what do they claim by this? What do they gain by this? Very little. Now, what and why do they continuously do this? Keep probing in, wandering into Indian territory. Is it just to check our preparedness? Or is it to grab more and more territory? Because their pattern seems to be something I came across in the UK. Years ago, when I was learning about agriculture, young lambs would be put onto fresh pasture ahead of the ewes. There would be a little gateway so the lambs could get through onto fresh pasture. And when the older ones had finished grazing on the patch they were in, they would be let in there and the lambs would go into the next one, which is what these people seem to be doing. Their forward troops go into fresh territory, they claim it as theirs, and then the older ones follow. I mean, this seems to be the creep system of gaining other people's land and including it in your own territory. It doesn't make sense to me, but it seems to make sense to them. And as long as we're weak, it will continue to happen. However, the sinister part is this. They seem to have very highly placed agents in India who are helping them. Let's look at it this way. Why did the Chinese embassy make that donation to the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation, which means directly to the Gandhi family? Because there's no accounting for it. So, for what reason did they do that? Was it payment for sensitive information, which was in their hands, or they had access to it during 2004 to 14? Now, they're having to make these incursions because that information is no longer available or not available readily. They found out in Galwan, they found out in Doklam, they found out in Tawang that the Indian Army is prepared. So, what is their next move? What else is happening in India all this time? And you'll find the Congress party behind it all the way. If you remember when Article 370 was removed a couple of years ago, or abrogated, Farooq Abdullah said, we would rather live under Chinese rule. Is this a part of that Chinese incursion into India? To get Chinese help to put them back in power? Because the way things are going, Rahul Gandhi and Farooq Abdullah are virtual non-entities now. And so what are they doing? Well, let's be quite honest. The Tukre gang, the ones sworn to dismembering India. And what seems to be happening? Well, the deal seems to be that China takes over Arunachal and 5 of the other 7 sisters. Assam will get swallowed up by Bangladesh, as will West Bengal. Kashmir will be hived off to Pakistan or to become Farooq Abdullah's fief. The southern states, that means Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Andhra, and a good chunk of Maharashtra will become Islamic because they hope to get almost a Muslim majority there. How? Millions of Bangladeshis have been settled there, all illegal migrants. Now these illegal migrant Bangladeshis and Rohingyas are also going into other states like Gujarat and Rajasthan. What happens next? Punjab and Haryana will probably become Khalistan as the way things are going. Delhi is virtually an Islamic state now, thanks to Bangladeshis and Rohingyas. And Rajasthan, with their present policies, with the Chief Minister blatantly siding with Muslims, may become a Muslim state also. So that most or a good chunk of India will become Islamic. How long before the whole of India becomes Islamic? I mentioned this in an earlier video. I think it's called Welcome to the Islamic Republic of India. Add to it the Waqf Board Act of 1995, where the Waqf Board can literally walk into any place, any premises, and say this is Waqf Board property. And it becomes their property, simply by their saying so. So that, virtually, really speaking, there is no future for India as it is. So what do we have to do? First, we have to get very strong militarily to counter China. Because if the Chinese get hold of Arunachal Pradesh, there is no India. Because it won't take more than 15 or 20 years to remove India from the face of this earth and make this an Islamic country. Now what do the Chinese hope to aim? Hope to get by taking the eastern part of India, Arunachal and so on. They have direct access to Myanmar or Burma. They're already intruding into northern Burma. Now they can go in from a wide area from what is now part of India. And from there, what's to stop them coming into Bihar? They're already, Nepal is no difficult problem for them. They take over that place in no time. China has to be contained. Whether we like it or not, we have to do it, and we have to be very, very strong. Next time they come, give them such a hiding that they never think of coming back. We have to. There's no alternative. Because they're thinking almost the same way as the Americans. In 1970, I had stopped India from being taken over under guise of foreign aid, which was actually money lending on a massive scale. We would never have got out of that debt trap. The Chinese have been doing it to a whole lot of countries, like Sri Lanka, Djibouti, countries in South America, and African countries. Pakistan. The loans are such that there is no way they can be repaid. And the Chinese just take over. Just like any money lender in every village in India used to. So you see, colonization by the Chinese is not just militarily, but also economically. Now, as the Americans, by goading the Ukraine into a skirmish or a mess up with Russia, they hope to take over the European market at 4 times the price. West Europeans are beginning to wake up now. But this is something I pointed out in my videos on Ukraine in March this year. This has been their game for a long time. The Chinese are playing the same game. And the Chinese at the moment, any country or any area which has those particular features, they claim it as a part of China. Because if you look at people from Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Meghalaya, Myanmar or Burma, Thailand, Indonesia, and also from Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, they all have those same features. Now, they're not Chinese features, they're Mongoloid features, but they claim it as theirs. Now, how do we get out of those clutches? How do we get them to behave themselves? If they think they're very strong, they won't stop. Because the Chinese still believe power looks out of the barrel of a gun. He who has a bigger gun is boss. And what he says goes. So the Chinese still believe. And the Chinese have no idea of what equality means. You're either superior or inferior. You're either stronger than they are or they're stronger than you are. There's no such thing as equality, not in their books. If they think you're weak, they will take you over. If they think you're strong, they'll hold back. Now, we have to understand this, and we have to keep our own people from falling into their trap. I know India is full of corrupt people, and the Congress party has been known to be the most corrupt bunch ever. Let's face that fact. They are corrupt. And I've known this for over 50 years. So now the rest of India is beginning to wake up. I hope they wake up fast. Now, the strange thing is, when Was it during Doklam or was it during the Galwan incursion? Rahul Gandhi was having dinner at the Chinese embassy. Why? Was he a minister? What was he doing there? When you add that to the 2005 to 7 donation from the Chinese embassy to the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation and the signing of the MOU, what goes through your mind? That this man is possibly a Chinese agent. There's no two ways about it. What is he trying to do with this Bharat Jodo Yatra or this Bharat Jodo walk across India? When you know there is a threat, a real threat of a COVID outburst all over again, why is he doing this? Because people from villages come in. Does he want to spread COVID all over again into villages? So that just when we're beginning to come out of one COVID epidemic or pandemic, does he want to start it again? So that the government of India has to go back to dealing with this? And the rest of India can just go on hold. Why is he trying to turn India into an Islamic country? Why do Muslims get everything and Hindus get kicked every time? Why? Is he that thirsty for power? Because he's not fit to be a sweeper, a road sweeper. I don't think he can even do that properly. And yet he wants to be Prime Minister? What is his track record? Has he ever been a Minister of State? Has he ever been a State Chief Minister? Does he have any experience whatsoever? Now, when a person applies for a job, everybody looks at his previous record. What is his track record? Education, his qualifications, practical experience. What sort of job did he do? What has this man ever done? What has Farooq Abdullah ever done, apart from create a mess in Kashmir? What has Nitish Kumar done? Nothing. What have all these characters done? Absolutely nothing, except loot. And loot on a massive scale. That's what they seem to be there for, nothing else. There's no development. I mean, you look at Kashmir, what development has taken place since 1947? Almost nothing. Why? Thanks to 370. But you're very upset when it's abrogated. Because you did not want any development in Kashmir. And if you really look at India, it has only started moving ahead in the last 8 years or so. Before that, we were way back. Why? Because you were too busy trying to turn India into an Islamic country. I mean, the Waqf Board Act of 1995 is a dead giveaway. It has virtually made Shariat law the law of the land when it comes to land and land dealings. The Indian Penal Code has no meaning. The law courts of India have no meaning. The judiciary has no power at all over land deals. If the Waqf Board claims it, it's theirs. Now, how much closer can you get to turning this into an Islamic country? And those clerics are using this in tribal and uneducated and remote areas to convert to Islam. Because they say, if you don't, this is our land, you get out. Where will they go? I mean, is the Congress party that hell-bent on destroying the very fabric of life in India? What has happened to most other Islamic countries? 90% of them are deserts. Because they don't care about land or looking after the land or anything. They don't care about it. The Islamic people are the same as the Chinese. The Chinese say everybody must be Chinese. The Islamics say everybody must be Islamic. What's going on? When are we people going to grow up and begin to understand, look, we don't want this. 3 countries have woken up, Angola, Mozambique and North Sudan. They have banned Islam. They would like to get back to development and a little bit of, how shall I put it, decency. And how to look after their land and live, rather than be under such stressful conditions that they can't do anything. Now we in India have to do certain things, and fast. First, the Uniform Civil Code has to come into being. It's already there in the form of the Hindu Civil Code. All you need to do is tweak it and make it, instead of Hindu, make it the Indian Civil Code, applicable to everybody. If you're a Muslim, you don't like it, there are 56 other countries you can go to. Please go there. This is not the place for you. You don't like it? Tough. If you're an Indian citizen, you come under that law. 2, remove the Waqf Board Act immediately, abrogate it or repeal it, and make them return all lands and everything and the rents they've charged people over the years since 1995. Return it to those they took it from, because it is their property, not Waqf Board property. Let's get this straight. That has to come back. You cannot do this. And then you have the Right to Worship Act. Sorry, not that one. The Places of Worship Act. That too has to be repealed. I think that is already going on in the Supreme Court. If there is any hue and cry from Muslims, declare this to be a Hindu state. That's it. That's what partition was all about in 1947. Declare it so. You don't like it? Tough. No Congress government will ever have the guts to do that. Why? Because they want this country to be Islamic. The suspicions have been there for a long time that Nehru himself was a Muslim. And that entire family is Muslim, probably. That suspicion is still there. I know Rahul Gandhi claims to be a Pandit, a Kashmiri Brahmin. But as I've explained earlier, a Kashmiri Pandit could be either Hindu or Muslim. And Ashok Pandit would be a Hindu, but a Salim Pandit would be a Muslim. So you see, the Congress Party is something this country can do without. Now coming back to the southern states, Tamil Nadu. What is Victoria Nuland doing there? Is she trying to drum up enough support to ensure that Ram Setu between India and Sri Lanka is never recognized as a national heritage site? Why? Because if that happens, there will be no mining in that area. And as far as Victoria Nuland is concerned, Tamil Nadu means thorium, and thorium means Tamil Nadu. Most of it is found around that Ram Setu area. You understand? Who is Victoria Nuland? You remember 2013 and 14, the revolt in Ukraine, when a pro-Russian president was ousted. She was the one leading the chorus, aided and abetted by the CIA to start and financed by the CIA to finance a so-called popular uprising, to have that one thrown out, and a pro-Western president installed in the Ukraine. This crisis in the Ukraine began then, not in March or February this year. This is the same Victoria Newland. What is she doing in Tamil Nadu? So please, folks, please, if you have some time, please make time if necessary. Download this one if you can. Look at it at leisure, but look at it and understand what I'm trying to say. And please pass it on to your friends, your relatives, ask them to pass it on to their groups, pass it on to your own groups. If you like it, please press the like button. Please pass it on. Thank you, folks. See you next time.